Have you ever wondered what happens during an out-of-body experience? For centuries, people have shared tales of floating above their own bodies, often during the moments between wakefulness and sleep. So what's really going on here? Many report that it all begins in a state called lucid dreaming. Imagine this. You're on the verge of sleep, or perhaps already asleep, but not too deeply. Maybe you're ill, or stressed, or simply exhausted. Suddenly you feel an intense awareness, but you're unable to move. This is known as sleep paralysis, and it's a common precursor to an out-of-body experience, or OBE. During an OBE, you might perceive yourself as floating or even soaring above your physical form. It's as if your consciousness has detached and is free to explore. Some describe it as a sensation of complete peace and painlessness, a stark contrast to the physical world. Another fascinating scenario where OBEs occur is during near-death experiences. Picture this. You're facing severe physical trauma, perhaps during a major surgery or a near-drowning incident. Suddenly, you feel like you're outside your body, looking down on the scene below. Many who undergo NDEs report seeing deceased relatives, encountering beings of light, or even revisiting moments from their life in vivid detail. These experiences often include traveling through a tunnel, encountering a divine presence, and feeling an overwhelming sense of peace. It's like stepping into another realm entirely, one where the usual boundaries of time and space don't apply. But here's the big question. Are these experiences real, or are they simply products of our mind? In the fields of cognitive science and psychology, OBEs are considered dissociative experiences arising from various psychological and neurological factors. Scientists view OBEs as mental states, similar to dreams or altered states of consciousness, without invoking the paranormal. For instance, Charles Richet, in 1887, suggested that OBEs are generated by the subject's memory and imagination processes, making them no different from dreams. Similarly, in 1912, James H. Hyslop proposed that OBEs occur when the subconscious mind dramatizes certain images, giving the impression that the subject is in a different physical location. Eugene Osti in 1930 considered OBEs to be mere products of imagination. Other early researchers like Schmang in 1938 supported psychophysiological theories, while G.N.M. Tyrrell interpreted OBEs as hallucinatory constructs related to subconscious levels of personality. Donovan Rawcliffe in 1959 connected the OBE experience with psychosis and hysteria. Other researchers have discussed the phenomena in terms of body image distortion and depersonalization. For example, Horowitz in 1970 and Whitlock in 1978 explored these aspects. Psychologists Nandor Fodor and Jan Ehrenwald suggested that OBEs might be defense mechanisms designed to deal with the threat of death. Ehrenwald even described the OBE as an imaginal confirmation of the quest for immortality, a delusory attempt to assure ourselves that we possess a soul that exists independently of the physical body. In the 1960s, Donald Hebb and Cyril Burt wrote about the psychological interpretation of OBEs involving body image and visual imagery. Graham Reed in 1974 suggested that OBEs are stress reactions to painful situations, such as the loss of love. John Palmer in 1978 theorized that OBEs are responses to body image changes that threaten personal identity. Carl Sagan and Barbara Honegger in the late 1970s and early 1980s compared the experience of tunnel-like passageways and cord-like connections reported by OBEs to an umbilical cord, proposing that OBEs may be based on rebirth fantasies. Susan Blackmore in 1978 concluded that OBEs are hallucinatory fantasies characterized by imaginary perceptions and perceptual distortions. Ronald Siegel in 1980 echoed this sentiment. Harvey Irwin in 1985 presented a theory involving attentional cognitive processes and somatic sensory activity, linking OBEs to psychological absorption and examples of autoscopy, depersonalization, and mental dissociation. Stephen Laberge in 1985 suggested that lucid dreaming could explain OBEs. David Hufford in 1989 linked OBEs to a nightmare waking experience, a type of sleep paralysis. Other scientists have also connected OBEs to hypnagogia and sleep paralysis. Case studies have shown that fantasy proneness is higher among those who have experienced OBEs. Terence Hines in 2003 posited that spontaneous out-of-body experiences can be triggered by artificial stimulation of the brain. This strongly suggests that OBEs arise from temporary, minor brain malfunctions, rather than the person's spirit or essence actually leaving the body. In a comprehensive review of neurological and neurocognitive data, researchers Bünning and Blanke in 2005 concluded that OBEs are caused by a functional disintegration of lower-level multisensory processing and abnormal higher-level self-processing at the temporoparietal junction. This area of the brain plays a crucial role in integrating sensory information and constructing our sense of self in space. Some scientists believe that OBEs result from a mismatch between visual and tactile signals. Richet in 2011 emphasized that out-of-body experiences are not paranormal and do not provide evidence for the soul. Instead, they reveal something far more remarkable about the everyday workings of your brain and body. A study conducted by Jason Braithwaite and colleagues in 2011 linked OBEs to neural instabilities in the brain's temporal lobes and errors in the body's sense of itself. Braithwaite and his team in 2013 further reported that the dominant view is that OBEs occur due to a temporary disruption in multisensory integration processes. As we continue our journey into the fascinating world of out-of-body experiences, it's important to explore the concept of astral projection. Also known as astral travel, soul journey, or spiritual travel, astral projection is a term used in esotericism to describe an intentional out-of-body experience. This phenomenon assumes the existence of a subtle body, often referred to as the astral body or body of light, through which consciousness can function separately from the physical body and travel throughout the astral plane. The idea of astral travel is ancient and has been documented in multiple cultures around the world. From ancient Egyptian texts to Hindu scriptures, the notion of a soul or spirit embarking on a journey beyond the physical realm has captivated human imagination for millennia. The term astral projection was coined and promoted by 19th century theosophists who believed in the existence of a non-physical universe that could be accessed through spiritual practices. Astral projection is sometimes associated with dreams and forms of meditation. Many individuals who practice astral projection report experiences that are similar to vivid dreams or deep meditative states. Some have even claimed to perceive their surroundings from outside their physical bodies, describing detailed observations that they could not have seen from their physical vantage point. Interestingly, perceptions similar to descriptions of astral projection have also been induced through various hallucinogenic and hypnotic means, including self-hypnosis. These experiences often blur the line between reality and the mystical, leaving individuals with profound and sometimes life-changing insights. However, it's important to note that there is no scientific evidence supporting the existence of a consciousness that can function separately from normal neural activity. Critics argue that astral projection is a pseudoscience, lacking empirical support and often relying on anecdotal evidence. There are alternative perspectives that delve into the realm of the paranormal. Writers in the fields of parapsychology and occultism argue that OBEs are not merely psychological events. They suggest that a soul, spirit, or subtle body can detach itself from the physical form and travel to distant locations. In Victorian spiritualist literature, such experiences were known as traveling clairvoyance. Old Indian scriptures refer to a similar state of consciousness called turiya, which can be achieved through deep yogic and meditative practices. During these states, yogis may be liberated from the duality of mind and body, allowing them to intentionally leave and return to their physical bodies. This journeying body is termed Vigyan Dehi, or scientific body. Frederick Myers, a psychical researcher, described OBEs as psychical excursions. His early study, Phantasms of the Living, co-authored with Edmund Gurney and Frank Podmore in 1886, was one of the first to document alleged OBEs. Although the scientific community largely criticized the book for its anecdotal nature and lack of evidential support, it laid the groundwork for future exploration in this area. Arthur Powell, in 1927, advocated for the subtle body theory of OBEs, a concept embraced by Sylvan Muldoon in 1936, who referred to an etheric body to explain these experiences. Ernesto Bozano, another psychical researcher, described OBEs as instances of bilocation, where an etheric body can separate from the physical body under rare conditions. This theory has been supported by other occult writers, including Ralph Shirley, Benjamin Walker, and Douglas Baker. In a more recent context, the story of Maria, a patient at Harborview Medical Center in 1977, has been frequently cited in paranormal literature. Maria claimed to have observed a tennis shoe on a third-floor window ledge during an OBE. Although her social worker Kimberly Clark later confirmed the presence of the shoe, skeptics like Hayden Eben, Sean Mulligan, and Barry Bierstein have argued that the shoe was visible from within the building, suggesting that Maria's experience was not necessarily paranormal. Despite the skepticism, the story continues to be used in discussions about the potential reality of OBEs. It highlights the ongoing debate between those who seek evidence of the paranormal and those who attribute OBEs to psychological or neurological causes.